And then at like 2 minutes in, they go, so let's not waste any time and let's jump right in.
Right.
And we're back. It's the beginning of December 2022. Ron Pepper and Rob Moroto are back for Q&A. Thanks, everybody, for sending in your questions. We've got a handful to go through, so we will see if we zoom through or if we take our time and do a little bit of a Pepper Moroto style, just sashaying through the questions a little bit. But first, Rob, would you like to say something about Tamron, our sponsor?
Yes, Tamron, of course, is our sponsor again, and they have this fantastic 28 to 40 mil f2.8 lens. And you know what? It's funny. We were looking at that last time, and we were talking and we said, well, why a 20 to 40? That doesn't seem like a very large zoom range.
That was both of our reaction.
Yeah, for a zoom lens. But then, we thought about it afterwards and we said, no. Like, for anyone who's a prime shooter and a prime shooter that likes to have a 2.8 lens, like, this is perfect because there's those times where you just want to zoom in just a little, or zoom out just a little, and your left foot, right foot zoom doesn't actually do it for you, or you can't move. This is perfect. So it's like you're a prime shooter, but you've got just that little wiggle room that you would need. I'd love to, you know what? I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, I've never tried it. I wish I could. You know what? I should do that. I should just go down to the camera store here and try out this lens and see how it works.
Yeah, I would do it if I had. I mean, to me, it's easy to borrow a lens or rent one or something, but I got to borrow the Sony full frame too. I just don't have that. So here we are talking about it, and we don't know very much. But since we talked about it last time, I remember that was our reaction was that's odd, 20 to 40. But then I kind of thought about it later, and for something like street photography, 20 to 40 makes a really significant difference in in perspective and not just the closeness. There's a lot of optical things that happen when you get wider. Like I always consider 24 or wider to be wide, and then that 25, to between up to nearly 50 and then 50 is normal, whatever. So there are some differences, but anyway, the feedback's really good. Check it out in the show notes. It's Tamron-USA.com. But anyway, thanks Tamron for sponsoring as always. Okay. Because we've got, what do we got? 5 this time?
We got 5. Oh my God, this is great. Okay, so this one, the first question, we got it from a Facebook group, and I put out a YouTube video onto Facebook saying, oh my God, my droplets, so anyone who uses automated droplets in Photoshop, if you've upgraded to Ventura and you've upgraded your Photoshop, you'll find that all the droplets that you've made just don't work anymore. And so I put out a YouTube video saying, hey, here's the fix. And then the first or second comment that came in to my YouTube video was, why would anyone upgrade their OS or Photoshop when it first comes out before they fix all their bugs? And that was a very, very good question, because
my little one would make a noob joke right here.
Right?
But go ahead.
But it's true. If you are a noob, you would update right away. And there's this weird thing where it's like, as a professional photographer, I want to update right away because I want to see all the new features, see if it makes it quicker, and see, be cutting edge, because that's what we like to do.
Rob, you're talking about human nature versus having been around a little while. And
right.
So, the bacon hairs out there will upgrade right away, bada bing, bada boom, and then they have the newest thing. But after you do that a few times, and then you end up just being unhappy or writing to support different things and saying, hey, how come this isn't working? So let me give it to you from my perspective. Sometimes with I used to answer this, like a lot of support questions for Photomatix. I still do sometimes, but I'm kind of lucky because the regular ones get some other people do. But you'll get these ones that, hey, how come there's this some kind of issue? And then they haven't thought that they got, well, maybe a new camera, or like a beta version of Windows, or they've upgraded something else, maybe whatever. But as soon as you upgrade, a lot of times the software's ready, but a lot of times sometimes they're not, depending on the upgrade, because some things aren't announced, some things aren't ready. Hey, and sometimes, guess what? Bugs. So
yeah,
give things time. Like, and the bugs can be in the apps that are in, he's talking about Photoshop, but I think they also mentioned the operating system too. And that's a big one. Like, there can be bugs just in those. Adobe is no stranger to bugs. For God's sakes, Windows and Mac are no strangers to bugs. Mm-hmm. So the standard operating procedure, in my opinion, is never get something .0, or sometimes even, depending on the product, like small ones I think are much less dangerous, but like a big one, like a Windows, a Mac OS, maybe Photoshop, is maybe don't even get, like, let's call it like 10.1. Wait for the 0.1.1, the second point.
Yeah.
So anyway,
the 16.1.1.
well, depending on, okay, there's just so many. Wait for the 0.1. There some products can be version 10.0, don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Do get 10.0.1. Yeah. Because those, like 10.1 is probably like a relative, kind of has an upgrade. That's not just bugs, but when you go 10 point something, those are just like bug fixes and maintenance things. And so wait for that first one. Wait a week after Apple releases the new OS for any device. Wait a little while and wait for there to be the first time, because that's when millions of people get these things and find really small things that didn't get noticed before. So give it that time. That's always my advice that I almost always follow. Almost always.
Nope, exactly. And I completely 100% agree. And it's, I have a friend who's a software developer, and he said that the problem with a lot of these major updates is that they're not released based on, hey, it's ready, let's release it. It's based on a marketing time frame, right?
Great point.
And so when, Mac OS 16 is launched, it's not launched because it's ready. It's launched because the new whatever has just launched and they have to push it out. Mm-hmm. And so if they haven't worked out all the bugs, well, tough nuggins. It's going to go out anyway. And then they say
you don't realize that there's a marketing department, there's a product manager, then there's an engineering team, and they don't always have the same incentives. So they've got to figure that out. And you're totally right, is that it doesn't always go out when it's ready. Yeah. The software that I'm very closely working with is the opposite. We sometimes get that like, what's the release date? And we just say nicely, the release date as soon as it's ready. We just say that nicely. And that's all it is. But that has its pros and cons, because people are expecting something, and I don't know why, but yeah. So
especially with Windows, especially with Apple, because Apple releases its OS with its hardware. So if they want to stick with their hardware release schedule, their software release schedule has to keep up. So if it's released, I think he said it the best way. He said, if it's good enough, it'll go out, and then just wait a week later, the first update will also be released. Mm-hmm. And like, since
they already know that I was right at what I said about waiting for that first one.
Yeah, like Mac OS Ventura already had like 3 updates since it was just released back in November or something, or October. It's ridiculous how many that have come out, but it is because of the fact that they need to release it based on a marketing schedule, not by a production schedule. Yeah, that's exactly
so. Right. For anybody that wants to be, if you want to have the newest fanglest thing, I don't know, newfangled, fanglest thing, whatever, if you're going to have that, don't expect that everything is just ready, because like if you get a brand new camera and your software doesn't support the raw file yet, well, that's also on you. It's not only on me, because that stuff takes time. So whatever the new thing is, congratulations. I always want the newest thing too. But you just got to know that when you get that early release, whatever, not everybody's ready for that. And definitely if you're in the beta program for Windows, don't write to any of us that have that, that's not even cool. Or if you do, tell us you're in the beta. Okay.
Right. No, that makes sense. Just remind me, I just got the Fuji X-T5, and I didn't even think about the fact that I don't know if Lightroom supports its files.
That's for your new fancy camera.
We're going to work on this timing with these sound effects.
I know. I'm just being silly, so I don't really, I'm not really ready.
To all of our listeners, this is a sincere apology from me for Ron. I apologize for Ron. But with that being said, I don't know if my X-T5 raw files will actually load in Lightroom or Capture One.
Right.
I haven't even thought about it. Right. The XH2 and the XH2S came out a month or two before, so the raw formats should be supported because the X-T5 is taking on the same raw format, but who knows? But this is a risk that we take if we want to be the first to get the goods.
Do you want to take a little tangent? Because I know about this. Not about the specific cameras, because I can't even remember those numbers and letters you just listed out. But I understand how that raw stuff works. That if your new Fuji really does have the same sensor and same everything, the same raw file, just because it's named, what is Fuji again? AR. Wait, what's Fuji?
The Fuji X-T5 is a REF. I don't even know what the file
RAF,
is.
RAF, RAF, yeah. That's
RAF,
so just because it's a RAF file or a CR2 file or a NEF file, just because it's that doesn't mean anything. It's the camera. Mm-hmm. And even if it's the same exact sensor and everything, believe it or not, those files or the raw processor does need to be updated just for the numbers, literally. So just so it recognizes it. So it's an easy thing, but it still needs to happen. The other thing is, those cameras tend to have new versions of things like uncompressed, compressed, or MRAW, SRAW for different sizes. So there's tend to be sometimes other differences that people don't realize are happening. And then if it is a really new RAW, if there's significant differences, believe it or not, I don't know if this is all or most, but my understanding is that the camera companies don't give out the details about their RAW files. So when Adobe or a smaller company wants to support them, they have to reverse engineer this stuff. So
I remember that.
It's no small task. So give those people, the fact that Adobe gets these things out by the time the cameras are released is amazing. And that because they have to reverse engineer. And it all seems really weird to me. Why wouldn't you put out information to support your cameras? Who uses Nikon's software to convert their raw files? Nobody, right?
Right.
And Canon more, but still not a lot, as far as I know.
And it's strange because now here we are. We're looking at the differences between Capture One and Adobe to see which one is sharper, clearer, better color, and all. Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous because you're absolutely right. We should be able to get this straight from Fuji, Canon, Nikon, Sony. It'd be lovely if they were to be able to send out an algorithm to say, hey, this is how we actually feed our own raw files.
There's one way to be sure that the camera manufacturer does the raw conversion, and that's to quote unquote shoot JPEG, or some cameras shoot TIFF even, because then all that means, I love saying this all the time, is that everyone shoots raw. There's no shooting JPEG. It's just that it's converted instantly in the camera. That's the only difference. So
it is funny though. When I shoot with my Fuji though, I do shoot it with raw and JPEG. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is because 90% of the time, the JPEGs are so good that I can just go with JPEG. Mm-hmm.
I do that. I tend to do that too, and then I use the raw only if there's a problem.
Right, and this is not for the commercial work that I do, but this is for all the fun stuff because Yes,
What
I'm a
can you use it
photographer.
for? You can do that for a lot of times real estate that works. If you're going to run it through HDR and different processes anyway. So shooting a JPEG is plenty of information in those things, especially if you're shooting brackets, then you're covering the dynamic range that way. And you can skip a lot of time for those raw conversions, because no matter what your workflow is, it does take a little time to do those raw conversions, which makes me wonder how it happens so fast in the camera. But that's a whole other. Let's not get into that. Let's move on to question 2, because we're.
Oh, wow. but no, I haven't answered the question. Oh. So why should anyone update to a new OS version or PS, knowing that there's always full of bugs? Okay, so I do have to answer this, because regardless of what my advice was, I do update as soon as it comes out. Mm-hmm. And I become my own guinea pig for my team, because, as you know, I've got a team of photographers and videographers that work for me. So before they update anything, I update my computer. I will be the guinea pig, and I will go through everything and make sure everything works. And then I instruct my team to update, because there are things like security risks. There are things like bug fixes that we may actually want to have. There may be new features, like when Adobe first came out with their sky replacement. We wanted to have that, and we wanted to use that right away, so that we could give that to our clients. So I am my own guinea pig, and I do this where I update everything very quickly and make sure that all the bugs are done. And that is also why when I do find a bug and I can fix it, I will make a YouTube video about it, put it onto YouTube, and get a whole bunch of comments from people like whoever commented saying, "Why the hell would you actually do that?"
You're like, I did it for you. I did it for you.
I did it for you. I did it so that I could actually make this YouTube video for you. That's why I did it.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think in this day and age, most photographers probably have more than one computer, so you can upgrade one, and then if something does come up, you're not complete trouble, right?
I know, right? It's like, okay, my old computer hasn't sold on eBay yet. Let's try it on that one. But remember the entire hassle when we were switching over from the Intel-based Macs to the ARM-based M1 chip. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then even Photoshop had it where they're like, well, Photoshop doesn't really support it yet, but they have
they had to run it through that emulator.
Yeah, the Rosetta. We have to put it through that, and then it'll work. But then it's like, oh no, we got the M1 version out, so it works. But then some of these features don't work. So if you actually want to use these features, like there was the flame. If you go into things like rendering and you want to render a tree or render a flame so that you can put it into a fireplace or something like that, all of those only worked if you would open up Photoshop and make it go through Rosetta. Then it would work, but it wouldn't work through the M1 version of it. So there were certain level features like that did work but didn't, and it took around 6 months before all the features of Photoshop work equally on the M1 version of the Macs as they did the Intel version. And so I think that was the longest stint or the longest, hardest transition that we had to go through. And I think a lot of people actually got hurt because of that, because everyone was so quick to jump on the bandwagon for those M1 chips. Then they got completely screwed.
It goes kind of goes to what I was saying before about when you jump on the newest thing, that you should expect there to be a few growing pains. And that's one reason I really value being a photographer, not an engineer, but having worked with software companies in one way or another for a long time. I do understand that those things are a big deal. So I would either be patient or just know what I'm getting into, where most people don't. They don't understand that the M1 was a completely different architecture of the processing system. So the CPU. Oh, yeah. So, and most people shouldn't have to care or know, but I already went through it when they went to Intel chips some years ago, and it was worth the transition because it was complete game changer, just like the M1 is. But I remember that, like I say, I've been around long enough to have thankfully remembered enough things to have some little wisdom in some areas,
Right? Jeez, we're going to start talking about film next.
Oh,
Anyways,
do you want to?
no, no.
So
Can't even get that
let's
stuff developed anymore.
let's go on to. Why don't you introduce the person asking in question 2?
Okay, so question 2, from Columbia, Missouri, we got. Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this name.
You saw what I did there. Huh? See what I did there?
P-A-S-S-A-U. Passau, I think.
Sounds.
So it says,
I'm gonna say Brazilian. Passau. Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, what places do you guys recommend for big prints, especially gallery wraps? Oh, okay. Whew, okay, Ron, I'm going to get you to take the lead on that one for now.
Yeah, I think this one will be quick because I don't know. You and I don't have a lot to say on this one, but because I've used SmugMug now for a little while for my galleries and things, and you can order on there. So that's the only thing I've used in any recent times.
Okay.
Oh, well, besides that. Sorry?
Find a local printer. Don't use SmugMug.
Well, I just don't print very much. So when I do, I'm just looking for the convenience really, and to have like a trusted place that I think is going to take care of it well. And the only exception to that is I use those. Have you seen Mix Tiles?
I heard of that. Yeah. I've seen that.
I just did that for personal stuff. I just did a bunch of headshots of the family, and I just got a whole big stacks of those things, and they're just all over the walls. And those are cool. They're the only complaint I have about them. And what's the other one I ordered from a long time ago? To this day, I get emails from both of those companies. And I don't mind.
Give us more money. Give us more money. Give us more money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can unsubscribe. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, but I tend to leave those things coming in because I want to be aware of what's going on because we do stuff like this. But they just send a lot. They don't need to send so many. Easy Canvas is what I was thinking of there. And from my experiences, they're doing a good job. They've grown up from when those gallery wraps, because the question was especially gallery wraps, because when I discovered those, they were the brand new thing, but they weren't doing them automatically yet. So you had to plan your photo so that there was enough to wrap around where around the size, you need anything from 1 inch to 3 inches, depending. So you either had to shoot for it, crop for it, plan for it, or just have the right one. However, now you can send a photo and they'll do a action that just copies the edges over, and then they'll make that if you want to. So they have, and I think all of the major ones offer that kind of thing now where this must have been like 2010 when that kind of was new, and it was just like everything. They're just taking care of everything in automated fashion these days. And it's true. When I before the show, I saw the question, and I just thought, well, I don't have too much to offer, but I did look at. I was looking for the big ones, and there's the one that I think people like, and this is only kind of like from what I've heard from other people, is a Pictorum. That's supposed to be a well-liked one. So if we get comments to dive deeper into this, I know someone that did a bunch of testing on it, so I could ask him on.
Oh, good.
Or we could just give a shout out, Alex at photographytalk.com. I mean, they're competitive, but
I know
you did
Alex.
an interview. You did an interview over there.
I did two of them with Alex. It's a lot of fun. So getting back to that gallery wrap thing, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember when gallery wraps first started coming out, I got one done with the gallery wrap, and because it takes a little bit of the edge and wraps it around, it actually changes your composition, which I didn't know about. And so I got my piece back, and I was like, oh my God, no, what did you do? You chopped off this. That didn't work. I really didn't like it. And the printer said, well, you asked for a gallery wrap. Of course that's going to happen. You should have gotten a little bit more for bleed. And I thought, oh my God, bleed. Like, this isn't advertising. Yeah. I shouldn't have had to worry about that.
How recently was it?
That would have been around 10 years ago, actually. So that was my bad. But the new thing that they're doing, which I think is really cool, is that if you send something in and you say bleed, what they do is they will mirror the edge and put it on. So it's not a continuation of the image, it's mirroring it. So your full image, as it is shot and cropped, stays intact, and then the gallery edges are a mirror off of that, repeating the other way.
Yeah.
So it it's I think it's a better way of doing it. But regardless,
When I looked
my
at
personal opinion.
the last time, and I wish I remembered for sure if it must have been Easy Canvas because I get their emails, but it may not have been. I'm pretty sure they literally had options that you could send your photo with bleed built in, planned, or you could choose at least two. Like one was a mirrored creation, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
or they would just extend it somehow. I don't remember now, but they had like three options, and it's really
It's like,
cool. I mean, I love the gallery wraps that I've done. They just look. It's a little bit of a situation of choosing the right photo to take advantage of that painting looking style. And the couple of them that I've done, I've really liked because they took photos that might have looked fake, frankly.
yeah.
But when they're on a gallery, they look like they're supposed to be that way. So there you go.
No, I still my preference is still black gaffer's tape along the edges.
What are you
Yep.
talking about?
Where you take an inch and a half black gaffer tape and you just wrap it around the canvas so that the edge of it is just pure black.
Oh, that sounds classy.
It looks great. And then the other one, actually, one that I saw that was really cool was they had cut out white acrylic strips, and so they framed the canvas on like an inch and a half, but then all the way around was this like high gloss acrylic, and it's like super super thin. So when you look at it from the sides, it just looks like it's like almost printed on plastic or plastic mounted, but it's a canvas, and it was a really cool look. But
Nice.
regardless of all that, I am going to say I prefer not to support SmugMug, and I'm going to say go to your local camera store and talk to the people there because they know all the people in the city who have large printers that need to be used up before their inkjet heads dry out. So
Okay. Support local. I'm with it. I'm with you.
support those guys because so in talking with a couple of guys from the camera store, they're like, yeah, people buy these big ass large format printers thinking how great it would be that they could print their own canvases, but what they don't realize is that unless you're printing a fair volume, you will ruin your print heads. And if you don't have that volume, like I've heard of people that went away for like 3 weeks to go on vacation, come back, and their printers, they had to replace their heads because they dried out. And especially in Calgary, Alberta, think north of Montana. It's cold, it's dry. Typically in a home, your humidity is around 10% or less. So you're using, you will wake up in the middle of the night just to have a drink of water so that your lungs don't dry out. It's dry here. And if you have hardwood up here, it will crack. It's awful. So in a place like this, yes, your inkjet printer is going to just die. So these guys need to keep on printing. And for anyone out there who has a large format printer, tell your local camera store people and say, hey, if you know anyone that needs canvases printed, just have them call me because I need to keep it pumping.
Good idea.
There's always people that are doing that. So
I think it's a great idea to just help everybody out because
yeah.
I always say that printing is very much a specialty, and I would rather have an expert do it. I'm not an expert at printing, and I don't get asked to do prints very often. I'm just not in that. But if you're in that business and you want to print it yourself, have full control, by all means, that's the expert. You're an expert. Where for a lot of us, we should send them to those experts. So you're right. If I knew individuals that I could send it to and they could be at least a close price, then I would just do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's funny. If you go onto Facebook right now and say, hey, please share this out. Does anyone know a printer here? Or a t-shirt maker, or a t-shirt print, you'd be amazed at how, the 6 degrees of separation, how closely you are related to somebody who does this stuff, who prints stuff. And I was surprised. I went to my local farmers market, and there's always people there that are selling T-shirts, right? Where it's like, they've designed their own T-shirts and they're selling them, and you talk to them, and they've got the same problem. They have to keep on pumping stuff out, and so I went to one of the T-shirt guys by my place, and I said, "Hey, I got a company, and I need T-shirts for my entire staff. Like, I probably need, maybe 40 T-shirts with my logo on it. Can you do it?" And I said, "Yes, thank you. We'd love to do it. We do this different kind of offset. It'll never fade and everything." And they were the best printers ever, and they were cheap. I didn't know this. T-shirts, like actual T-shirts that have prints on them, if you go to some place like Michael's and actually buy the shirts, they're $5.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I've done
And then
it.
you go to a farmer's market or something like that, and you find these T-shirts with these wicked prints on it, and like the ones that say, like American Apparel or Canva or whatever those things, those shirts are actually $5 when you buy them at a supplier, and even cheaper for some of these guys. But once they have them and do the work, yeah, I got my staff into T-shirts from a local guy, and I think it cost me like $15 a T-shirt Canadian. So that's like what cost of a Happy Meal down there. It's quite affordable, and
Nice.
it's interesting how we keep on thinking that buy from Amazon, buy from SmugMug, buy from these bigger places, and it'll be cheaper. But quite frankly, you actually can find local stuff that's even better. So reach out, take the time. You'll feel better about it. They'll feel better about it. You'll be supporting your neighborhood, and the world will not become this world that's just run by large corporations, and we become its slaves.
Definitely be like Moroto and less like Pepper. I admit that I'm the same way. In fact, San Francisco, when I moved there, one of the first things I learned is they're very, at least at the time, were very all about locally things and support local and everything. That's kind of changed, but I've kept that. But I admit that I've fallen into the whole thing where it's so easy and quick to order it, and it's there the next day. And I know I've fallen into that, and I'll try to do better. Again, do better. Oh, by the way, I said I referenced San Francisco Do Better a couple weeks ago, and the show I got it from, the Seahawkers podcast, they made me there do better. They said, like it took completely in fun. I mean, they know me a bit enough that it was all fun, and he just said for stealing my idea, Pepper, do better, something like that. So
Nice.
So maybe on the round table, I'll have to do something to hit back over there, something like that. All right.
Yep.
Let's move to Maine. Oh, I thought it was Marin. It's Maine. Man.
Okay.
When you read something twice, it really helps everybody, because the first time I read it, I misunderstood this. So let me read it out loud. Let me read it out loud actually this time, because I had it wrong. Lily from Maine. That's what it is. Yep. Maine has an E at the end. So I thought it was Marin. Okay. So Lily from Maine, way up there. Brr. She says, I want to give my clients a gift for Christmas. What I had misread before was I didn't realize it was for, so she must be a photographer and wants to give clients a gift. So I just thought it was giving gifts. I want to give my clients a gift for Christmas, but don't know if giving away a free shoot would just devalue my product. What do you think I should do? That's a really good one, because when I saw it before the show, I just thought it was a photographer or somebody, maybe even amateur, I don't know, like just doing things for other people. But when I realized that, like, let's put it in, I wonder what kind of photographer. Because I would say, like, if you're a busy real estate photographer, which is a lot of smaller jobs compared to like a wedding photographer, then.
Well, you can't give away a free wedding shoot.
Right.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You could
just
do
give away a follow-up, something like a 1 year later, or a baby or pregnancy shoot or whatever, those things. They apply.
I think we talked about this before, right? Like my friend Rob Ryan, who was an amazing wedding photographer, he used to do that. He'd go around and he'd talk to people and be like, "Oh, so you're the mother of the bride. Great. How long have you and your husband been married? 49 years. So next year's going to be a big one, eh?"
Selling right there at the wedding, at the wedding.
At the wedding.
So, wow.
And so he'd be like, "So
cojones.
when's that coming up?" It's like September. Oh, good to know. Write it down in a note. And because he's got all their contacts anyway because of the wedding, right?
Wow.
So he would be sending stuff out. It's like, hey, Miriam, your parents' 50th anniversary is coming up in 2 months. How about you gift them a anniversary shoot? I'll give you 20% off. Like,
you know why I don't mind that method? Like, it's at first I thought it was a little bit bad form to be selling people at the wedding or gathering, but then I thought he would get them to hire him only if he does a great job at the wedding. So he's incentivized correctly there. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, I do like it.
And quite frankly, it is data mining, but this is old school. This is very, very old school data mining, and he's done it well. And so the idea of this shoot would be interesting, because if I shot a wedding and it'd be like, "Oh, we shot your wedding in June. How about, you know what? As a gift, I'm going to do this. You guys come in, and I'll do one shoot for you, and it'll be a winter Christmas shoot. I'll do one shot for you so that you can send it out to your friends and family as your first Christmas as a married couple."
Nice.
Right? Send it out.
Could they, and we're just guessing at what kind of photographer she is. So, hey guys, when you're writing in your questions, give us some details. So if let's say she is a wedding photographer, could you do something like your idea about doing a winter shoot and maybe set up a certain day and say, I'm inviting my clients to come that day, and then just do it all at once, kind of it'd be a little bit social. Maybe you could serve some cocktails. I don't know. And make something out of it. Maybe make it, if you have a studio, do it there and have like a little bit of a party atmosphere.
Yeah. No, I think
those are good ideas. Yeah.
I think it'd be great, set up your studio, do that, and then just happen to have like all the props that you have for your maternity shoots and your baby shoots, because you know what married people do when they're first married. Not when you've been married for a very long time. But in the very beginning,
I wouldn't know about being married a very long time.
Okay, that was
come back to us, Rob. Come back to us.
Okay, so, but yeah, if you can use it I would say, if you can use it in a way to be for marketing, I don't think it's devaluing your product at all.
Yeah.
If you are using it so that you're just giving something away, then yes, you are. But I think if you change it enough, then you're going to be fine. But here's a neat one. And so, speaking of Christmas gifts, we shoot for realtors. And so for the past couple of years, what we've been doing is we've been giving out gift cards to we also shoot a lot of restaurants as well. So sometimes we'll just choose a restaurant and say, hey, you know what? If anyone comes in with this gift card, put $100 onto my credit card.
Nice.
And then we give out, 40, 50 of these $100 gift certificates to our clients and say, hey, you know what? Have dinner on us. And we send out 50 of them. 10 of them will collect, which is really weird. And that kind of bothers me because if you think about it, if you actually bought 50 $100 gift cards to a restaurant and sent them all out, and only 10 of them got used, holy crap, that's a lot of wasted money. But in this case, you're sending it out, 100 of them get used, but the net effect, the gesture of 50 of them being out there, well, the gesture got accepted 50 times, even though you may have only had to pay for 10 of them. So that was a very good way of doing it. And I know that we've done that with people as well. And we said, look, if you want to give your clients your realtor clients, a gift of photography, like a photo shoot from a real estate photographer, here, give them these cards. If they collect on it, we'll charge you for it. But if they don't, then you don't have to. And so we can do that too. So we've been talking with real estate lawyers to do that. It's mostly real estate lawyers and appraisers that we approach, saying, "Hey, if you have a gift that you want to give to your clients, think about this. We'll give you a little bit of discount too, but they will be sending that out to their clients. We'll be getting a little bit of business, and it's a win-win."
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I was thinking that for giving away free shoots, just since we've been talking about it and just thinking of it right now, I would just say, like, I love your idea of gift cards that are not direct photography. That's really good if you can afford that. But if you're just want to give away things that just take your own effort, and I would say don't just offer like, oh, set up a free shoot on me. Do something that's a little bit more community or whatever. Like I liked my idea of if you have a place that's set up, you could have it. Let's say update your headshots free.
Yes.
On this day, and that could go for real estate for sure, because they always have these 10-year-old headshots. So that would be good for real estate. You could do it for, or you could do something that isn't just a headshot if your clients. This all depends on your own situation, guys. Everyone listening, So if your thing is not headshots, maybe you would still do something in the studio, but just offer limited things that happen relatively quickly, and you could be shooting during a few hours of this social event, and have someone else ask someone else to do something else, like again, whatever your thing is, some snacks, some music, and some decorations if it's holidays, something like that.
We did that. You know what? It's ever since I've had kids, I've had less time to get to do stuff like that. But yeah, around 5, 6, 7. Jeez, how old am I now? A few years ago, we did that where we wanted to do a fundraiser for. Shoot, I can't remember if it was In From the Cold or it was for something where we were raising money. It was around Christmas time. We said, "Here, we're going to do headshots. All the money that we raise for it goes to this whatever charity we were supporting at the time." Jeez, I wish I could remember what it was now. And we went up to the real estate brokerages and said, "Hey, we're Calgary Photos. We're doing this fundraiser. We're going to set up, and if you don't mind, just hand these out to your agents. Let's see who comes by." And it worked. We had a whole bunch of people come by, and as soon as their photos were done, we emailed them the photos along with a PDF of our services.
Sounds perfect. Yeah,
it worked out really well, and that's
been the age-old the way of acquiring photography customers. When I'm in my 50s, when I was in my teens, I went and got a free photo that they advertised. And of course, back then they wanted to they did sit me down and try to sell me a big package, but I didn't having to buy one anyway. So I just had the free photo. It's like a gift or something. So that was the age-old way of doing that. Do portraits, something free, get to know the photographer. If you have a good feel for him, if you like the results, then you might have a customer. So
No, and because we were doing it as a charity thing, there was no monetary value which was given away for free that devalued us. So I think that was a win-win in that situation.
If I want to put it in a succinct way for Lily, do that if you can do it in a deliberate way to help build your business.
Yeah. Exactly.
So don't make sure you have a plan. Like, I love the word deliberate. Really think about why you're doing that, and would that work for you? Do you think that's going to turn in on the? Oh well, no. I guess maybe I should just bag what I'm. Maybe you just want to do something nice. Just do something nice. That's nothing wrong with that either. If you just want to, that's your thing. I miss having the time just to take all the extra time in the world. Maybe you have that when you're building it up. So.
No, and I remember actually, funny story. I do remember one year. I decided that I was going to give my friends a free photo shoot of just like a family portrait shoot or something like that.
Hmm.
And I remember I got this snide little remark saying, "Oh, he's just too cheap to get us an actual gift."
Wow. Did they call you like
Yeah,
the little drummer boy and stuff?
right. And oh, so after that, oh heck no, never, never, never have I done portrait shoots for family and friends like that, unless they ask for it. If they ask for it, fine, but never from me saying, "Hey, you know what? I'd love to do a family portrait shoot for you for as a Christmas gift," because wow, that backfired.
Isn't that amazing how people take things in a completely different way where you're doing something, your skill and something that has value for most people, it has value.
Hmm.
And someone else takes it as he's just too cheap. I mean, it's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
you know how this, you're married, you know how this goes.
Mhm.
You do something or communicate something and you feel like it was communicated and it wasn't. And there's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just people, and it goes both ways and all that. But it's amazing how the other mind takes something in a completely different way. And,
I,
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to put this out there. If anyone has had that experience, any portrait photographers, any photographers out there that has had that same experience, put it into the comments. Let us know because I want to hear from you and commiserate, and I want to feel like I'm not. I want to feel vindicated. I want to feel like, you know what? I wasn't the bad guy here. I was genuinely. Well, yes, I was poor as anything.
Well,
We're not allowed to swear.
what if you were already the successful Rob Moroto of today, all 39 years old, Rob, and then maybe they would have perceived it as very valuable. Or what if
Right?
pick somebody famous? You know,
Like
what if
if Annie Leibovitz
Scott
came
Bourne
up to
offered
me
to
and
do it for you or something like that?
yeah, like Annie Leibovitz comes up to me and says, "Hey, Rob, as a Christmas gift, I'm going to give you a free photo shoot with
I
you
mean,
and your kids."
she must be on bad times if she has no money to get you a gift, right?
Right? Right? Yeah, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
But no, at the time, I was looked down upon, and
Okay.
yeah,
Well, it has
okay,
to do with the whole situation too. So
yeah,
yeah.
okay, I'm mad. Next question.
Moving on. Okay, this one is our. Sometimes we do this. A bunch of people ask about winter photo tips and gear. I mean, maybe we'll talk about this on the round table actually. But one specific question, Celine said, "What is the most?" I picked this one because it's kind of cute. It was cute. What is the most underrated or overlooked winter photography tip you have to share? So that goes with our personality, Rob. I think you and I is that give the regular tips, okay, sure, but we're always kind of looking for the other way of thinking of something, right?
Hmm.
So, do you have what's your underrated? I like that.
Underrated.
Like, what's a tip that people don't really think about that I should have really planned? I got this one last minute, so.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your definition of winter? Because your winter's a whole lot different than mine.
Well, for instance, I can fly drones now
Yeah.
down over here in moderate California, where it's never too hot, never too cold, and you're up and you're actually in the prairie now, right? You're in
I'm in Calgary tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. We are coming to you from the Best Western across the street from the condo that I used to be able to sleep in. But now I've been kicked out because my realtor said that she's got a better tenant than myself to live in my own place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's real laissez-faire market up there, isn't it? They can just kick you out for somebody that wants to pay more. Wow.
Right? Geez, Bitcoiners would love that. Anyways, so I am here.
Well, that'd be me. What are you calling me out at?
Hey, shut up. It is okay. I'm just gonna do this conversion here. Let me just type this in. Minus 28 Celsius in Fahrenheit. Oh, it's minus 18 Fahrenheit here.
Ooh. Wait,
So-
minus 18 or 18?
Yes. No, minus 18. Like negative 18. Like, you know those people that you see on YouTube where they take a glass of water and they throw it up in the air and all of a sudden it just like disappears into this mist?
Yeah, you can't even breathe in -18, can you?
You can breathe in it. You can
But
breathe in -40. It just hurts a lot more. And if you breathe through your teeth, yes, the saliva on your teeth freeze. If you breathe through your nose, yes, you can actually get the nostrils to close frozen.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can actually have steam come out of your eyes and your eyelashes freeze. Yes, this is what I call winter, and it's lovely.
Wow.
So in our winters, we always, the three things that I always say you have to do. Number one, carry extra batteries
Hmm.
and keep them in your pants pocket or your inside jacket pocket. So that as soon as your batteries in your camera die, you can take it out, put it into your pocket, get a fresh one, put it in, and go. Because the camera batteries are what? Lithium ion. It's a liquid. It freezes. It doesn't work very long in this kind of weather. So there's that. The other one that I have is consider the temperature changes that you're going through. So, for example,
Condensation and fog and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I made this mistake once. I was going to do a photo shoot, and what I did before that was I met a friend of mine for lunch. I left my camera gear in the car in -20 outside while I had lunch for an hour and a half inside. Then I went to my shoot, took my camera into the house, opened it up, and all of a sudden, all the humidity inside the house
So you had to
went
wait like
straight
15
on.
minutes to be able to shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my camera just sucked it all up, and I didn't want. I couldn't shoot. Like
Is there a way of if you know that's going to happen? Let's say you're just out in the cold, not coming from a car for some reason. I guess you hiked or you snowshoed over to the house. I guess. But let's say you are coming out of the cold into the warm. Can you plan a way to avoid that, or is it just inevitable?
It's pretty much inevitable. But at the same time, I've also made this mistake where I've taken a frozen camera, put it onto a hot air vent, and left it there, thinking that the hot air vent would just dry it and warm it up. But the temperature change was so drastic because you got hot air just blowing onto it that it cracked one of the inner lenses.
Wow. And was
So
that probably because it had a rapid temperature change?
exactly.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Best thing to do is to let your camera gear slowly acclimatize because you don't want moisture to get stuck inside your lens. You don't want things to freeze. You don't want, and don't leave your gear outside for any longer than you need to because the oils in the gears will freeze up.
Can you leave your camera equipment in -18 weather for an extended time without causing harm to it?
You can, as long as you let it get back to room temperature very slowly.
Yeah, but if you're out camping or something, and you had it well protected or whatever, but still cold, that would be okay,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, just it's the rapid changes and then the moisture that will ruin your camera. So
Man, Rob, I have become so soft. I don't have to worry about any of these things lately.
you're
And,
probably still wearing flip-flops.
well, it's cold. I put on a hoodie. You can see. I mean, we're on audio, but you can see me now. When I went outside today, I had to put on pants and a hoodie. It was kind of cold, so it was
Do you regularly go outside without pants?
shorts. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I had to put on something. You know, and but on the other hand,
Oh my God, that just reminds me. My cousin's husband, he grew up in San Diego, and I remember a story he was saying. He said, "I didn't have big boy pants until I graduated from high school." And I said, "What the hell is our big boy pants?" He goes, like the ones that go down to your ankles."
Pants optional.
and I laughed because I'm like, oh, you mean pants, not shorts, pants. He goes, yeah. I didn't have like big boy pants until I graduated from high school.
Yeah, San Diego will be like that. Like I've known people who are from from tropical places, and they like I remember one time getting ready to go somewhere relatively nice, but tropical nice, so it's casual. And he was like, I can't find my good flip flops. Like, there are good flip flops. Like you wear nice flip flops to go out to dinner, and the tropics. So that was kind of foreign to me at the time. But
your
so
dress flip flops for that, and then.
There was a famous commencement speech, put to music and everything. I'm sure most people have heard it. And one of the biggest things, one of the main things I remember was next to floss. I remember he said, live in New York once, but leave before it makes you hard. And live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Well, I like to call it, I'm anchored here, at least for some time. So I'm getting softer and softer in Northern California. However, it's not always. We have our things. So I'll give my advice comes from the other night when it was back to the tropics. It was a tropical style downpour, and I was shooting sports. It was pouring down all day, so I was ready for it, but I was ready for it as a not professional at that kind of photography. So I just got out. I did have a camera cover that I had never used before. But I had to dig it out. I couldn't find it. And then I had to figure out how to use it. I had it spread out on the table, and it was has a bunch of Velcros and a bunch of loops. And I'm like, oh my God, how the heck do I use this? So it took me a few minutes to figure that out. And it was raining so much, it impacted my focus. Like I couldn't always maintain focus because it was coming down in such big drops at some points where I can tell that the focus was off, and you can see your focus point and everything. So when I'm shooting sports, believe me, I get the focus off often. I miss a lot of photos, but that's why I'm out there. I'm out there to learn and practice and to be part of the, by the way, San Ramon Valley High School Wolves going to state on Saturday.
Hey, go Wolves.
I mean, we're on a photography podcast, but wow, I've been photographing my son's team for a couple of years now. And last year they had high expectations and they didn't make it. They got upset in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And this year with this, there are some expectations. They're still good players, and the coaching staff there is amazing. They're really professional and everything. And this team is all about the team. There's some superstars and all that, but they don't act like it. Where last year was all the superstars and there were the other guys, and it didn't really work. And this year, oh my God, they've never been to state before. So this Saturday, so in a couple of days, I'm taking my behind from Northern California down to Southern California to watch and shoot and celebrate and all that. So,
nice.
So congratulations to the Wolves.
It's
been really fun. And it's funny because I can't even overstate how big that is. And now they're not in the top division. So there are better teams in the state that are from big schools, but in their division or their league, their division, then they're probably we think that they're favored to win. So
nice.
Anyway, that's a side note. So when I was there they had their last playoff game. This recent playoff game was, again, in the downpour of downpours. It was 19-17, that kind of game. Like, it's actually more points than we expected. But so when I got there, I always talk to the real professional photographers. This is California's big time stuff. They have professional photographers there, just like would be with the same gear that they have at NFL games and whatever, in college games. And I got there in my makeshift cover for myself and my camera. And they were all prepared with these like a think tank. One guy had a think tank. What do you call that? Specifically, when it's specifically made for that camera and lens.
Oh yeah,
and customized. And he was so ready. He wasn't getting wet. Everything was easy. And here was me, like I had to pick up my hood, take the hood of the camera over my head because I had to protect between my hat and because I have glasses, and so if I got them wet, that's a big disaster. You have to take time to clear them off.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, so that's winter photography over here. So manual focus, you have to get used to that again, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before. And I'm from Seattle. I don't know if I've ever seen that much. I've been in heavy rain, but not shooting. So you might have to manual focus. Be ready.
Yeah.
And don't shy away from it, because sometimes the rain makes it way better. You get all these crazy, things happen in rain just from the physical things. So you have people that are like flying in the air in ways that doesn't happen when they're not slipping and sliding, and you have all kinds of different looks, and just drenched, and it's really fun. So the thing I got from there was be ready, know your gear, know how to switch on the fly if you're having a problem with, in my case, focus, then you can be able to do it. And you might have to be able to do it without looking at the camera because it's covered, right? So you have to kind of reach in there and keep your hands in there. And the other thing too is I have a Nikon D850. It's not the correct best camera for that situation, and it's what you would call rain resistant or whatever. It's not waterproof or anything. So some of them, like my Olympus, is you could really have it in a downpour and not have to worry about it. Where mine, as long as it got just a little wet and it wasn't just getting poured on, then it was going to be fine. So another one is just to take care of your equipment, but don't worry about it. Don't miss the opportunity by saying I don't want to have it out in this situation, whether it's in the cold like you or in the rain like me. Just like we were talking about in autumn, is go out there and try the things that let's see, what am I trying to say? My natural reaction sometimes is, this isn't the time to do it. I'll do it later. A little bit of a procrastination, but that's what I've learned myself, is that's the other way around, to say, well, this is not a normal situation, therefore that's why I want to go. And so to take all those. So this is a very general, but I hope that helps everybody out there. And send us your, we could do this, Rob, you and I, we can do kind of what we want here. If people have their tips, we can pass them on. So send us your tips too. Questions at photofocus.com.
Yeah. Now, one other thing, Ron, that speaking about in the rain. So I do a lot of shooting on Vancouver Island, and it's just monsoon season there pretty much all year round, except in the summer when it's a drought and I can't get my grass to grow. But in the rainy seasons, the 3 other seasons, when you go out, one of the things that I always keep in my bag is a camping towel. And have you seen these camping towels? They're like super absorbent, small towels. Like you could have a full shower and have this little handkerchief kind of size towel and dry yourself off.
Is it that kind you dry your car with, and you can wring it out and then you drag it on after you wash your car?
Kind of. The difference is that the one that you use on your car leaves little particles of dust. The camping towels don't. And it's really neat. Like, go to your local camping store and look for a camping towel. And
I was not just punching up camping towel on Amazon. I was not. No,
you better not have. All right. And so that's one that I like to keep in my camera bag all the time, just because if it's wet, it's easy to dry your gear off. And as well, when you get, when you open up packages of food and they have those little silica packs, or you get a new TV or something and it comes with a silica pack in it.
Do not
keep those, throw them into your camera bag.
So don't eat them?
Or feed them to your dogs or your children.
The ones that say don't eat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But take those, throw them into your camera bag, because they're meant to keep the moisture out of your bag, right? So I've got a bunch of them, and what I do with my camera bag, like I've got a rolly bag and I've got a backpack, and with my rolly bag, I just lift up one of the panels and shove them all behind one of the panels, and so any of the gear that goes in there gets dry really quickly. Same thing with my backpack. I just throw them in and it's dry. So like how have I modified my camera bag? It's with silica gel packets and air tags. So
Nice.
yeah,
Did you? Okay, yeah, cool. Those are microfiber, I guess. I think I know it.
the silica gels
No,
or
the
the
camping towels.
yeah, I think it is microfiber, but it's great. It just oh my
I
god,
was only looking on Amazon to see what more about what you're talking about. I won't click buy now.
no, no, or later, or put into your wish list.
No promises. But again, this is a little bit of the theme of our show is to go out and try stuff. Go out and
Mm.
try look up. I can't. The name is escaping me, but who's the guy that specializes in snowflake photography? Shoot,
Oh geez,
I think it's Komarechka. Is that right?
I don't know.
I've heard him on podcasts, but it's been a while. Like maybe he's not doing the rounds, but he's done books. Don Komarechka. Someone might forward this to him, and he'll go, "Oh, you ruined my name." But the snowflake photography, he was doing these amazing things, and even if we're not gonna, you try to emulate people, copy them in order to learn. I think that's fine. I think that's how you learn a lot of times.
Yep.
And believe me, if I focused on it for a day, I would not get what he's getting. He does some amazing stuff, but anybody can Google that stuff. But anyway, go out and have fun with it. And
And copy.
remember the first round table we did this year, the first one we ever did. I went through and did the editing, and I caught myself. We all have our things that we do, our speaking patterns. I repeat my sentence. I start a sentence, then I start it over.
Yeah, and I keep on saying everything is great.
You say it's funny that, or it's interesting that. And when I said way too many times, I said, we could talk all day. I kept saying it over and over and over and over. So I want to say it once specifically to say we could talk all day about those things, which is the beauty of it, but we'll still move on so we don't keep us and other people here all day. So we have one more question. I just want to acknowledge that I do that kind of stuff because I have my weirdnesses, and I blame it on my Canadian half, by
We
the way.
all have our faults.
Well, just oddities. I don't know if they're faults. It's my Canadian side, Rob. That's the goofiness. It's the John
Canadian
Kerry. It's the John
being
Kerry.
Canadian is not a fault.
No, I just said odd. I said odd. Oddity. Nah, I could try to make a joke, but I don't think I'd pull that one off. Okay, Johnny from, I don't know, West Beach. Tell us your state or country. West Beach. I'm going to go what? Florida?
Well, it'd be kind of strange to have a. Can you have a? Is there a West Beach, Florida?
Well, that would be
Or
the
can you
Gulf.
have a West
That would be
Beach on the
Gulf.
east side?
Well, that would be the Gulf of Mexico side of Florida.
Oh, I guess a little. Oh my God.
Yeah, the peninsula,
The appendage thing, right?
the
Yeah.
peninsula, or probably another word, but yeah, on the west side of Florida, yeah, you have like a oh my gosh, well, Tampa Bay, but there are other ones that the places are escaping me, but they have all that white sand beach. It's really nice.
Yeah, hurricane country. Right?
He has a very succinct question. Ready? Does
Okay.
anyone actually use F-22? I love that.
You know what? I can't think of the last time I used F-22.
I have used it when I was newer, when I was going from noob to whatever is next. And okay, I used it because I was told that when you have most people listening probably know this, but F-22, you're gonna have full depth of field, right? Everything should be in focus. Where the other side, the low number, then very little is in focus, so you can get like your portrait subject, and then everything in the background is blurred out. That's your standard use of it. So I knew that, and I thought, okay, well, I want to have everything in focus, so I just cranked it all the way up and just went with that. But there are some weird things that can happen, and
Yeah.
maybe you can talk. Maybe if you have some stuff in there, you can throw that. But you can get things like flares, and you can get just complete failures sometimes, depending on the lens. But the most important thing is the sweet spot of the lens. The best parts of the lens is usually in those middle zones, not the extremes. And there's usually no reason to go all the way to f/22 because you can get everything you need to have in focus without going so far. So you could have like even f/11 on a wide angle lens, or a little higher number, smaller aperture, and still get everything you need in focus. So, Johnny, usually not. I mean, if you have a specific reason for it, if it's just that bright and you're trying to have like a slower shutter, I guess, but then there are other solutions, right? Wouldn't you?
You could use your ND filters.
Yeah. You didn't bring it with you. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's some reasons to do that, but what do you think?
Yeah. No, I think the only time that I've ever used f/22 was when I was trying to get that flowy waterfall kind of look. My ND filter that I bought was an ND4. It wasn't quite strong enough, and so taking it down to ISO 100 f/22, I still couldn't get it up. I still couldn't get my shutter speed up past 5 seconds or whatever I wanted it to be to get the look that I wanted. So, but that was my fault. I didn't bring in a strong enough ND filter for the scene that I wanted to shoot. So,
only do that if you need to, Johnny. Otherwise, I mean, if you have a pretty telephoto lens and you really need a lot more depth of field, would you ever, if you're shooting about 400 millimeter and you, so if you have a wider angle lens, you can get more in focus typically. So you only have to have like I shoot with a fisheye a lot for 360s, and I use it at f/8, and I have everything in focus. That's hyperfocal distance is possible at f/8. So, but as you go more telephoto, that limit changes. So if you're shooting a longer lens and you want to have everything in focus, you might need to go in the direction of f/22, and that will all depend on the focal distances you need, the focal length of your lens. I would recommend, I mean, I don't know if that's what he's asking. I'm just thinking of the reasons to go there. Some of those apps like PhotoPills and some other apps have focus distance and hyperfocal settings. So you can find out what you need. You can put in the ranges and tell it everything about in addition to what I mentioned, the sensor size comes into that calculation. So I would use an app. I mean, we could try to describe it more, but Frank, as you can tell, I don't think I'm up to date on it enough to just blurt out the details of all that, but you get the idea.
But no, frankly, Johnny, f/22, rarely used. You know what I think it's like? I think it's like riding a bike, where it's really hard to go really slow on a bike, and it's really hard to go really, really fast. But that middle area is fairly manageable, and there's a sweet spot where you can cruise along pretty well. So if you want to go really slow and maybe shoot like you got an f/1.2 lens and you want to try and shoot people with that, it's really freaking hard, because if you don't get that pupil bang on, you've got a nose that is sort of perfect focus and everything else is out, and it just accentuates that nose like crazy, right? Or if you just focus on an ear and their eyes are out, like f/1.2, like I've got the 56 1.2 is the 85 1.2 is one of my favorite lenses.
Oh yeah.
It's just so hard to use because you can screw it up so easily. And at the same time, if you're shooting at f/22, I'm sure that you're screwing up something. And I can't imagine that you're doing it right. So if you stay within the middle, you're pretty safe.
Well, 22, you were making fun of film, I think, earlier, but from when I was learning something from school, I had someone, the question was something like, how are those journalists? They're just like in the film days, how are they just holding up those cameras over their heads to get a photo of somebody, an athlete, a politician, or who knows? Like you're in a whole bunch of people and they're just holding up the camera and shooting, kind of spraying and praying, I guess. Mm-hmm. But with film, you didn't spray and pray much because you only had, 24 shots or whatever before to change it. So it was like, and the question, I think it was a teacher maybe saying this so long ago, saying, how could that be happening? How could they expect to get focus on that? And the answer was you crank your aperture to a small aperture, big number.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, you use the Sony 16 rule. Do you remember the Sony 16 rule?
Yeah. Wait. Let me see. Is it ISO 100 100th of a second and f16?
No, f16.
That's what I said.
f16, ISO 1600.
Oh.
1/60th of a second.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's 16, 16, 16.
But that's because Sunny 16 just means a normal sunny day, right?
Normal sunny day.
So Rob, people listening, for a regular sunny day, if you don't use your light meter, it's supposed to be the Sunny 16 rule, which apparently I completely forgot, but I'm going to look it up because I think I don't think you're right.
I could be very much wrong. But yes, it works out really well where you at a 1/60th of a second at f16 at 1600 ISO. And if any of those values change, so if you go down to f13, you then up it to 1/200th of a second, and you keep on adjusting that way. But with those journalists, if they have ISO 1600 film, put it at a 1/60 and f16, they could shoot it. They wouldn't have to meter. And they'd be in the ballpark.
I think I'm right. Sunny 16 rule, simply a way to determine a good exposure for photos. I'm reading as fast as I can. At ISO 100, for example, use shutter speed 1/100th of a second. ISO 200, use 200th of a second. And all at f16. So, okay.
And
this could be a variation on it, actually, but...
Because that sounds right. Wait a second.
Yeah, okay. So it's saying to match... This isn't what I remember either. They're saying match your ISO with your shutter speed. So 200 ISO, 200th of a second, all at f16. So let's leave it. I could read about it on air here or on recording, but that's not worth it. Check out if you haven't seen the Sunny 16 rule, check it out because it's a good one. But that also kind of comes from film days where you might not have had a meter built in to your camera like we all do now, and you can't chimp the photo. So I don't know how useful that really is. But
fair enough.
You got anything else before we wrap up here? We can start getting out of here. We had a long Q&A because Rob, you and I, we should really, if we want to keep them short, we shouldn't do them at night because I think we're night owls and there's no whiskey involved or anything, but it just seems like relaxing and we can just record and take all the time in the world.
It's nice. It is nice talking with you at night. I feel like I have friends. I feel like I am social, and I feel like I'm not alone in this two queen size bed hotel room. Which I don't know why they always give me 2 queen size beds. It's like, do they expect I'm gonna wet one and then need me to use the other one? Why do they do that? I just there was an old adage for that when you stay somewhere with a girlfriend or wife, but you guys can figure out what I mean by that. So I do, and I should mention the reason for me, the reason I wanted to start doing podcasting again was a bit came out of pandemic times where, hey, I have family and stuff. I was not just all by myself, but I still really wanted to be more social in the photography world and everything. Rob and I thought this would be fun. Let's do this. And that's been great. So we will see you again, listeners, in 2 weeks for a round table. And it'll be we'll kind of decide if we're going to do something a little bit Christmassy, maybe invite some people back to say something nice for holidays. We'll see. But send us your suggestions if you have topics you'd like us to cover. And you should see us a couple Thursdays from now. And if you'd like to send us a little bit of money so that we can have a little bit of rum while we actually do a podcast, then you're more than welcome to.
There you go. Twitter at Ron Pepper, at Rob Moroto. I'm not really promoting anything now, but ronpepper.com is. I'm just going to be adding the things I'm doing, and in the new year we should be doing some more get together things in physical places, in the same physical place, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I'll just thank again Tamron for sponsoring, and Photomatix that sponsors me for doing roundtable in this one, for HDR photography, hdrsoft.com, and look for version 7 coming out. It's coming into public beta soon. Rob, what do you want to mention while you have the floor?
Well, you can find me at www.robboroto.com. That's MOROTO. You can think about it like Mr. T with 3 O's in it, or like ho 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 with MRT instead. And I do have my course coming out. It's 95% done, and it will be coming out in the new year. It was supposed to come out in fall. It was supposed to come out this winter, but it's going to come out in the new year. So if you're interested, go to my website, www.robmoroto.com, sign up, and be one of the first to take a look at me talking about what I do. And if you want, also follow me on my YouTube channel, where I will be testing new stuff and showing you how I get through all the headaches that I do when things don't work, like when Ventura updates. So that's it for me.
Well, we'll get your check out Rob's stuff, because I'm the elder statesman in this thing, and I see Rob as being one of those guys that people need to know more, because he's really good at what he does, really good at teaching about it, which is one reason that this works between us, and I asked you to do it with me. So check him out, and other than that, let's just say go out and do some of that wintertime experimental shooting if you can. Don't freeze if you're in one of those places, but enjoy it, make the most of it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next one. Thanks for listening. Adieu.
Okay, let's look this up. Sony 16 rule. In photography, the Sony 16 rule is a method of estimating correct daylight exposures without a light meter. The basic rule is, on a sunny day, set aperture to f16 and shutter speed to the reciprocal of the ISO film speed for a subject in direct sunlight. Oh, dang it. Ron was right.